Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing out there? Oh,
Hey,
you all here with us. We have a really good show today that I am so excited to have these ladies meet with me to share with you all, and we're gonna spill some tea and have a real good time. Sorry, we're running a little bit late. But y'all know me. I know my ass is always late. You know. So, I'm so excited to have to be here with Gen Extra, Callie, and Glam Melanin from TikTok. These are some dynamic creators that I thoroughly enjoy. They make wonderful content, and I'm just so excited that they decided to come and join today. So first up, we have over here, we have Gen Extra. On TikTok, she's Gen Extra 95. She's a wonderful creator. If you all are not following her, please make sure you go over and follow her on TikTok. She's Gen Extra 95. So glad that we're Gen Extra again. So excited about that. And I wanted to show you guys a TikTok that I really enjoyed that she did here recently. If you guys are not following her, this TikTok will definitely make you follow her.
I want to thank every Amazon employee and every Amazon customer because you guys paid for all this.
translation. Thanks for paying for Penis Head's white cock rocket to go to space.
I absolutely love that TikTok. I watched it like 3 or 4 times and I was trying to look at the picture. I was like, oh my, I was like, Jen. But that was hilarious. I loved it. So, Jen, tell us your handles, tell us about yourself, and what brought you to TikTok.
I got on here about 2 years ago when TikTok first started. Somebody lit me up with one of their posts where they were talking about some of the racism they experienced on TikTok, and I'd been doing social justice prior to being on here with Facebook and whatnot. I've been like out since Black Lives Matter 2013, and just like I said, I just saw one post from a girl on TikTok, and I just fired mine up. And I originally started out as an art account and just flipped it over to Gen Extra 95. And I've got Gen Extra 95 on my Instagram, and that's pretty much as far as I go with it. So, and then I also add some of my art stuff on there and talk about politics and social justice issues.
We're so excited to have you here with us, Jen. I'm excited to hear your take on everything. And make sure you guys go and follow Jen Extra 95 on TikTok and Instagram and support her and her artwork. She also drew a photo of my beautiful daughter, which I love. And I'm just, she's very talented. So I really would love for you guys to go and support her.
Thank you.
Next, now here we have Aunt Callie.
Hey guys, it's hot here in Texas. No matter what.
We're so excited to have you here at Callie. Just some really wonderful content on TikTok, very educational, awesome content. And I want you guys to check out TikTok that she did here recently. Now, this is a play off another TikTok that she did, but I really enjoyed this TikTok, and it was very informational, and I really enjoyed it. You guys come check it out.
Yeah, so I've already anticipated this, so I'm going to go ahead and nip this in the bud. Okay. Just like American history cannot be taught without Native American history, which they tried to do, they still do. Texas is trying to do that now, but you simply cannot teach Texas history, which is a requirement in Texas schools, without Native American history. So let's talk about just its name in general, Texas. Where does Texas come from? It comes from Tejas. Now, many people would say that's Spanish, that's from Mexico. Of course, it's from Mexico because Texas was once a part of Mexico. And the Spanish colonized Mexico. But they got the word Tejas from the Caddo word, which is a Native American tribe. East Texas, there's even historical mounds of the Caddo people in East Texas from Tesha, which means friend or ally. Friendship is actually Texas's motto. The more you know.
I love that TikTok. Very informational. I didn't know any of that, and it was a really good TikTok to watch. And again, it was a play off of another TikTok. So I encourage you all, if you're not following Aunt Callie, to go and follow and support her. Callie, tell us something about yourself. What brought you to TikTok?
I started TikTok like pretty much most everybody. Bored in the house, and I'm housing the board, whatever, from COVID, and it started off kind of like a LGBTQIA plus TikTok and just something goofy until I started getting extremely bullied, which we all have on this app, for being Native American, and then I started seeing the younger groups started dealing with it, and in our community we really stick by each other's side, and it just kind of escalated from there, of educating people about our misconceptions about the type who we are, and so it's just kind of stuck with basically just telling people we're still here, showing people our issues, that things that happened to us from the past is very relevant today, you know.
Awesome. Make sure. Do you have any other social medias? Instagram, Twitter, anything like that?
I have Instagram. It's just Aunt Kaylee, the same as the handle in TikTok.
So you guys make sure you go and follow and support our content. Very good content, very educational, and she also throws some funny ones in there every now and then too. And last but not least, we have Glam Melanin, the beautiful. So excited to have Glam here. She is a repeat offender here on Political Tea Talk. I'm pretty sure I will be asking her to come back again. The episode that she was on is actually one of my most highly watched on my political on my YouTube. So very excited that she decided to come back again. Glam Melanin on TikTok. Make sure you guys go and follow her. And if you're not following her, I have a TikTok here for sure. I know that's going to make you guys go and follow her. And they don't know that I do this, that I go and pick a TikTok.
I know, because I'm just in here like, please, Jesus.
Look, they don't know that I go and do this. They don't pick the TikToks that I go and personally pick a TikTok that I really liked, that I hit the heart on. So this is not faked. This is real. Like, they don't pick this. So I want you guys to check this one out.
So I have a question. And I would prefer for everyone who is not a black woman or a black femme presenting person to respond to it, please. If you're a black woman, if you're a black femme presenting, please try to restrain yourself. We know everything, but we're going to let people answer this because I feel we are owed an answer to this question. Why is there a socially acceptable amount of abuse that a black woman can suffer in public before anyone intervenes to help us? I mean, even looking recently at the Karen in the Victoria's Secret, going after and harassing a black woman, and no one caring at all that she did any of it. It comes across as if black women have to be in the literal perfect storm in order to have anyone intervene on our behalf to help us. And even then, people will still dismiss what's happening to us. Why?
That is what you're gonna get. Glam Melanin's TikTok. She goes in, and I really enjoy it. She's Glam Melanin on TikTok. Glam, tell us why you came to TikTok and what makes you want to share that knowledge and do that type of commentary.
Well, I ended up going from being a working mother to a stay-at-home teacher of an autistic son during a pandemic. And frankly, my family got tired of me talking them to death because I had no outside interaction anymore except for my husband and my daughter. So I found TikTok, and I happened to get on during the blackout, which I didn't know anything about prior to. And a lot of my content just sort of took off from there. And I've been here fighting the community guidelines ever since. I have a backup Glam Melanin 2 on TikTok as well, because when I'm in trouble on my main account, that's where I go run and hide now. And it's Glam Melanin on Instagram as well. I try to make content that pushes the envelope, so to speak, and asks the uncomfortable questions and have the conversations that we're all having in our heads, but not necessarily willing to own on social media.
I love it. I love your content. I always loved your content. I always supported your content. Very good informative content that makes us all think, that makes us all talk, and again, have those, like you said, have those uncomfortable conversations that we need to be having, especially in the Black community.
Yes.
So we have some topics that we want to get to today, you guys, and we're going to start this off with what's going on with the January 6th Select Committee and all this malarkey and bullshit and blah, 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 blah. So we have the January 6th commission that was started. Nancy Pelosi made her picks. She actually picked Benny Thompson to do the chair, be the chair. Zoe Lofgren, Adam Schiff, Pete Aguilar, Liz Cheney, Stephanie Murphy, Jamie Raskin, and Elaine Laura. Look, these are all good picks. I felt like these were really good picks, and the fact that she picked Liz Cheney, I was definitely okay with her picking Liz Cheney as her Republican pick. Now it came down for Kevin McCarthy, who's supposed to select five Republicans to make this committee bipartisan. So he announced his picks on Monday, and he announced Representative Jim Banks of Indiana, Jim Jordan of Ohio, Rodney Davis of Illinois, Kelly Armstrong of North Dakota, and Troy Nevins. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. Y'all know how I do. But anyway, so those are the picks that he selected. Some of those picks voted against certifying the election for Joe Biden. Some of those picks, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion, actually participated in the insurrection and the actions leading up to the insurrection, in particular, Jim Jordan. So we're all like, veto this Nancy Pelosi, in which she does. She vetoes two of the picks, which were Representative Jim Jordan and Representative Jim Banks. I'm calling them the Jims. So she go ahead and she vetoes the Jims. So we all knew when she did that there was going to be a fallout. Not even an hour later, Kevin McCarthy issues a statement and he says the following: unless Speaker Pelosi reverses course and seats all five nominees, Republicans will not be a part of the sham process. Then he holds a press conference. And he says at this press conference that they're planning to have their own committee, that they will not be a part of this at all. They don't want any parts of the January 6th Select Committee. In my opinion, it was all performative bullcrap. And Nancy Pelosi actually responded to Kevin McCarthy. And this is what she had to say about what, which was very little, Nancy Pelosi had to say about Kevin McCarthy's actions.
So, as you know, we named our commission, and it was committee, and it's bipartisan, again, and we have a quorum. Staff is being hired to do the job. We're there to seek the truth. We're there to get the truth, not to get Trump. TRU, truth. Trump. That seems to be what the other side is obsessed with.
That's pretty much what she had to say when she was asked about about Kevin McCarthy's performance. She said, "You must mistake me for someone who cares, because I don't care what Kevin McCarthy is doing." That's basically what she said. So after this, Liz Cheney comes and she responds to Kevin McCarthy pulling all the Republicans, because people were wondering, is Liz Cheney going to continue to participate in the Select Committee? So this is what Liz Cheney had to say.
And at every opportunity, the minority leader has attempted to prevent the American people from understanding what happened, to block this investigation. Today, the Speaker objected to 2 Republican members. She accepted 3 others. She objected to 2, one of whom may well be a material witness to events that led to that day, that led to January 6th. The other, who disqualified himself by his comments in particular over the last 24 hours, demonstrating that he is not taking this seriously. He is not dealing with the facts of this investigation, but rather viewed it as a political platform. This investigation must go forward. The idea that anybody would be playing politics with an attack on the United States Capitol is despicable and is disgraceful. And I am absolutely dedicated and committed to making sure that this investigation holds those accountable who did this and ensures that it never happens again. And the American people deserve that, and that is what we're going to do.
Do you think you can still get that nonpartisan investigation you want, given that no other Republican but yourself will participate?
I am absolutely confident that we will have a nonpartisan investigation, that it will look at the facts, that it will go wherever the facts may lead.
So that's Liz Cheney. So I would love to know what you all think about this bull crap that's been going on with the January 6th committee. Do you feel within yourself that this is going to truly be they're going to be able to get a non-objective, get the truth, basically? Do you feel like they're going to be able to get the truth with the committee as it stands without any Republicans except for Liz Cheney? Jen, I'd love to know what you think.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm bad at this kind of stuff. Any kind of committee or anything that anybody there puts together ends up just, I don't know. It's like the election. You don't know who to trust. You can't trust anybody. What is the committee for exactly? Are they prosecuting people? Are they? I mean, we clearly saw what happened. So it's like, what's there to discuss? You know?
I can agree with you there. What is there to discuss? We did see it. It was live on 4K. What do they need to investigate? From what I understand, they're going to investigate things leading up to it. They do have subpoena power where they can ask people to testify. They're going to have their first meeting on July 28th, their first hearing on July 28th, and it will be a public hearing. So, Aunt Callie, I would love to know what you think about the January 6th committee.
Oh, I'm glad that Liz Cheney was selected by Pelosi, because that was a pretty strong political move from a Democrat to make it bipartisan, for sure, especially with someone like Liz Cheney. But to me, I watched the press conference with Kevin McCarthy, and all he blamed Nancy Pelosi the entire time about, oh, this is sabotage, this is politics, this is performative. But at the same time, if you listen carefully to what he was doing, he was pandering to his base, because he kept bringing up the officer that passed away, and he kept especially bringing up the fact that he passed away on Good Friday. This officer passed away on Good Friday, and she wants to play politics, and she wants to do this. He is calling out to his religious base, while at the same time also, both him and Jim Jordan in that press conference also brought up Black Lives Matter and the protests that did this and did that in their own little slick way. You know what I'm saying? And so they were doing nothing but pandering. They were doing nothing but just saying, we gotta investigate to what leads up to this, without saying, hey, let's try to find out who killed that officer. They never said anything like that, because we know the people that killed that officer was people from his base, people that voted for him. Those are the people that killed those officers. Those are the people that did this. But he never placed blame on the people that voted for him. But he did divert from, make sure you have to know that he passed away on Good Friday. Make sure you have to know that. Make sure you have to know that Nancy Pelosi is sabotaging all of this. And make sure you have to know that other Democrats want to defund the police. Other Democrats want to do this, but look at what's happening here. This is what we're doing. So they did a very good job of trying to take the attention away from the people that voted for them that caused this insurrection. They really did not want to put the blame on their voters, because that's who did it. That's who did it.
I can agree with that. And what you're saying is 100% true. Going to the comments from Jim Banks that he made after he accepted Kevin McCarthy's appointment, he said in a statement, he said, we need leaders who will force the Democrats and the media to answer questions so far ignored. Among them, why was the Capitol unprepared and vulnerable to the attack on January 6th? He added, as the Republicans have, the committee should be investigating the racial justice protests of last summer, along with the January 6th insurrection. So basically, he wants to in this. This is supposed to be about the January 6th select committee, but again, he wants to go back to what they call last summer after the killing of George Floyd. So, Glam Melanie, you're seething over there, baby. I know you got something you want to say. Hit me with it.
And I was going to address exactly that, because it's so ironic to me, as Kaylee was saying, the lengths that Republicans will go to deflect while still protecting their base. We have to realize, first of all, as a country, regardless of any denominations, racial, anything, citizens of America attacked our capital.
Correct.
Regardless of how anyone feels, that is what took place. And if that was a foreign enemy, there would not be a committee being put together by Democrats, Republicans, or anyone to address it and figure out what happened. To answer his question that you mentioned, Tiffany, they weren't prepared because they were told not to be.
Correct. Tell them.
The Capitol Police were told not to be prepared. The Capitol Police were instructed and ordered by people in higher positions to not do anything.
Correct.
Because this was a planned attack.
Correct.
So for him to compare this to Black Lives Matter protests, and it's interesting, again, when I see white male politicians bring up racial inequality, but they don't ever want to address or go back and delve into all of the massacres that have occurred in this country at the hands of white America towards everybody else. But we need to investigate Black Lives Matter while we're also addressing this insurrection. They're not the same thing.
Correct. I can agree with that.
It's not even surprising, but it's a reminder. And I hope that more and more Americans recognize that the people in power who are cowering and hiding in that building that day want you to believe that what scared them requires all of this hoopla to figure out.
Exactly.
We don't have faces. We don't have cameras. We don't have ideas about who did what. We're completely clueless. We must form a committee with Nancy Take-a-Knee Pelosi and reach across the aisle, and then we go back and forth about who's being performative. Like Gen Xer said, why are we doing this?
We all saw it.
Why are we doing this? It's an embarrassment at this point that we are really sitting here as a country watching ourselves get attacked and then trying to piece it together after the fact.
They should have never, if it had been Black Lives Matter, they would have never got up to the They would have never got up to that little barricade. They did
the Capitol.
They proved that last year.
They proved near the Capitol. Exactly. And they were ready to kill us.
Exactly.
Without hesitation.
Exactly. 100%.
The very fact that we saw officers, because to be fair, they were not prepared. They were told to stand down. But to see them letting people in, but we need to figure out, how did this happen? We need to piece it together. This is not even as hard as a Scooby-Doo show.
Right.
Like, this is not complicated. The mask is already off.
Because here's the thing: if you've arrested 500 people and charged them with crimes related to this insurrection, then you've investigated them, so you know that something this all can lead up to something. Like, I remember I made a report back here months ago about the FBI stating that they had information that some of these insurrectionists were in contact with members of Congress leading up to the insurrection. So here's my thing. If you have that information, then why isn't this made public? Why do we need the select committee? Now, I do support the select committee, but my thing is, what is going to happen with the information that they received. I have a question here in the chat that said, would they send their findings to the DOJ? I don't know if they're going to send their findings to the DOJ. What is going to happen once they dove into this and really find out, because they already know that members of Congress are linked to this insurrection 100%, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Jim Jordan, all of them. If they didn't actively participate on that day, they definitely participated in the actions leading up to this. This wasn't all Frumpy Dump. This was Frumpy Dump and his cohorts around him that led up to this. And this is exactly why they need the investigation. But what the hell are you going to do after the investigation is over?
If they take it seriously, these should be considered acts of treason. If you are an elected government official in this country and you had a hand in an attack on the nation's capital, you are culpable and should be held to the same standard as if it was a military member that did it. This is an act of treason.
Yes.
And we know the Constitution works when it wants to for certain people. But for all of these Republicans that are hugging their Bill of Rights and hugging their constitutions and their American flags, they need to realize that regardless of their feelings, your elected officials, your leaders, took part in an act of treason against your country. And they will explain it away. But if this gets taken, and I think someone in the chat said as well, they should be investigating specifically the congressional members that could have been responsible in this committee. Because as you said, we already know they've arrested 500 people. We already know the regular citizens that did what. This needs to be a targeted. We are going to look at the people in positions of power, whether it was allegedly people whose wives funded buses to get there, whether it was allegedly people who campaigned for this on other social media to take place and used their Twitters, their clappers, their other social media accounts to invoke their bases. Because like we saw when those 500 some odd people were getting arrested, a lot of them said the same thing. We were told to do this.
Correct.
By who?
Frumpy dumping his court. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
On Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, ourselves, they were calling for a civil war. We saw it ourselves. They were so blatant and so confident online where you would see people literally like out there on the grounds, out there on TikTok saying, yeah, this is the start of it. You know what I mean? Like they were so blatant. There's no way that the government or these people that have no idea who these higher ups are that empowered this, that were a part of this. They know who it is. And I do not think or am confident that we will see accountability.
No,
I don't think that will ever happen.
No.
I think, look, I also think that once this is over, like someone in the chat just said, colorful story is here, you guys. Very excited to have. She's here. CF Story is here with us. The fact that Lauren Boebert tweeted the location of Nancy Pelosi when they were leaving, all of this, she should have been arrested a long time ago. But here's the thing: after the insurrection, well, I mean, when this was taking place, these people were so confident that they were going to be successful or that they weren't going to get in trouble, that they were just happy to be there and posting themselves on Twitter, going live, on TikTok, on all these social media platforms. They were so confident that they were going to get away with what they did. And now that these insurrectionists have been arrested, at least some of them, because you know that they don't have possession of all of them that were involved. Right. Now that they're getting arrested, they're getting these low-ass sentences, which brings me to our next topic, which is going to be Paul Hodgkins. Help me, y'all. Paul Hodgkins, yeah. Paul Hodgkins, who has been charged with the first federal crime related to the insurrection. He was, he's been actually sentenced to a mere 8 months for his participation in the Capitol insurrection. I'm going to show you guys a video that I did. I couldn't find one that actually showed his photo, and I wanted I wanted everyone to see what he looked like. So I'm going to show you my coverage of what happened, and his charges and all that. So I'll show you my coverage, you guys. Give me just 1 second.
Hey players, so this is Paul Hodgkins. He was sentenced today for his participation in the Capitol attack on January 6th. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of obstruction of an official proceeding, in which he received 8 months in prison for it. Now, obstruction of an official proceeding could carry a maximum of up to 20 years in prison. Federal prosecutors asked for 18 months. He was only sentenced to 8 months. I'd like for you to meet Crystal Mason. In Texas in 2016, she was sentenced to 5 years for casting a provisional ballot while she was on supervised release. Her provisional ballot wasn't even counted, but she received 5 years. Her sentence is now currently under review. Now, Paul did express remorse for his actions, stating without a shadow of a doubt he is truly remorseful and regretful for his actions in Washington on January 6th. He then added that he doesn't say this just because he will face consequences, but because of the damage he has caused to the country. All for Frumpy Dump.
So Paul Hodgkins got a mere 8 months for his participation. Now, the judge noted when he was asked why he came at this conclusion, how did he come with this? Because the prosecutors were actually asking for 18 months in this for his sentence. He said because he was not one of the violent, he was not violent, he was not one of the leaders. He just merely came in there and took photos and stuff. So that means that he should get a lesser charge. Here's my thing about that. When you go and rob, just say you go and rob a bank or something, and then someone gets killed during that robbery, in certain states, you can get charged with the murder of that person, even though you just say you were the getaway driver. If you're just a getaway driver, you didn't participate in any of that. You didn't go inside the bank. You didn't rob anybody. You didn't shoot anybody. But since you were there, you will get charged with murder. So you mean to tell me that this guy couldn't have got the maximum, which was 18 months for that sentence? You mean to tell me he couldn't get that? That's completely absurd. And they do this to children all the time. I would really like to know what you think about this, Jen.
Can you hear what I'm saying? Is it
You're good.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Now, what was the question again? Because I'm just catching up. Lag on my thing here. Sorry.
I was talking about Paul Hodgkins. Why do you feel that he got this lower sentence?
Easy. That's easy.
That's what everyone's saying. Sounds about white. It is about white. I've seen that with a lot of this whole ordeal with these riots. I mean, everybody's getting the lesser sentences and this and that and the other. But, what kills me about it is I know was one of the things you had talked about or whatever mentioned was the lighter sentences for everybody. I know you're leading into that. What was it 400, 500 and some that got charged or whatever, and they 181 of them got misdemeanors, trespassing, disorderly conduct, first time offenders and whatnot. But if they I guess if they go harsher on them, I guess it would raise the number slightly with the prison population. I did some research on this, and I've done posts about it before about the prison population, and it's exactly what it is because of him being white. A lot of people that got charged. I mean, they're getting these light sentences and stuff. So if you look at the prison population, white populated by 102,000. And people of color is by 65,000. That's only a 40,000 difference there. And if you look at the United States population, there's 211 million white people in this country, and then there's only 32 million black people in this country. And it's why is there? Wouldn't you think there'd be more white people since there's more of us in jail? And to me, it's clear. To me, it's a clear systemic thing. There is what I'm trying to say, is keeping white people out of prison. I can agree. I can agree that they're saying this guy was a crane operator. They're trying to say, oh well, he hasn't committed a crime before, but this is a federal crime.
Well, if that's the case, then look at talk about his not having a background check or whatever. What about some of these black folk that are put in jail for, I don't know, 70 years for a gram of weed or something? I mean, just stupid stuff. First time offenders. They're in there for 20, 30 years. It's like, give me a break. Give me a break. I'm trying to watch language here because I get fired up about this stuff. It's like,
oh no, you can cuss on here, honey. We cuss. I cuss all the time.
Oh, good. I can't talk right unless I can cuss.
And Callie, what do you think of that?
The system's working the way it's supposed to.
Exactly.
Thank you.
It's supposed to. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, does not talk about women. It makes Black people less of a human, and I am a merciless Indian savage. You know, you have people right now on line 3 getting arrested and charged with probably rioting, or they're getting charged, just like you saw on the Dapple, they're getting charged peacefully protesting on their own lands and protecting the water. They're getting charged with, they're getting the book thrown at them, Native people and allies. But the allies get off, you go on, you did your little thing. But the natives, they get, like we saw on the Dapple, they got thrown in cages, literally. They were treated like dogs. They had dogs sicked on them, and they got federal charges. There's people, we're still trying to get out of jail since the Dapple protests. We're merciless Indian savages. They don't care if we, or Black people or any marginalized person, has no record, no this, or what our intentions were. You get the book thrown at you because that's what the system is meant to do. The system has always been meant to protect cis white men. And that, if people cannot understand that is what the Constitution is, that is what the Declaration of Independence is protecting the interests of cis white men, and the people that are getting the lesser charges, the people that are getting select committees about this treasonous act, the people that are getting like, come here, little guy, come on. I know you did. I know you doo-dooed on the walls. I know you did that. But come here, come on, little bitty buddy. We'll get you. But if it was someone like me out there or y'all out there, I wouldn't be on this podcast. Let's just say that. I would not be there.
Especially if you were they might let you get away with it if you were fighting for Trumpy Dump, but they're not going to let you get away with it if you were fighting for a cause like Black Lives Matter. It's obvious. I mean, and those people, some of those that got arrested during the Black Lives Matter protest, different sentences than what these people are getting, and they tried to overthrow the whole entire fucking government. Glam, what do you think?
I mean, I agree with everyone so far. This is, as cliche as it sounds, this is America. We are here to serve and sustain the power and status of straight white men. There are parents that can get felony charges for putting their kids in a different school district.
Correct.
Putting their child in a different public school district that could be literally 5 miles away from their homes, just in the opposite direction. White man goes to overthrow their own government. 8 months. I think what needs to be understood is that we are living exactly the America that we're supposed to be in, according to straight white men. We are the prison system. That's a result of chattel slavery. The prison system is a direct result of chattel slavery. Slavery ended. We have to find a different way to house the Negroes and make them work for us. We're going to turn everything that they do into a crime, literally vagrancy laws of standing in a spot for too long.
Yeah.
Same results. white men who are able-bodied and straight are not supposed to be in prison. That's exactly the numbers that Gen Extra broke down. How do you outnumber everyone by the hundreds of millions?
We ain't that well behaved
up to everyone else's prison population by a mere 1,000, because you're not supposed to be there. There are Black men and women sitting in jail right now, and people are petitioning and protesting for them to get out, and we know they're innocent. Prosecutors have said that yeah, they were wrong. They were really innocent. And they are not going to be released by white men who are in positions of power.
100%.
This insurrection should have shown people, hopefully, that are in denial still for whatever reason, that America is only as good as white men tell you that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And as bad as Black people say it is.
I can agree. So we'll sum that up with saying we'll see what more sentencing will come out. I was watching, I believe it was MSNBC the other night, and they were saying that this sentence is supposed to set a precedent, and because it's the first federal charge. However, this is a lowlier crime versus some of the other people that are going to be sentenced. So it's going to be interesting to see what they get going forward. And also 8 months in federal prison is like 8 years in federal prison. At least that's what they say. So I still think it was a lowly sentence. I still feel like he should have gotten the 18 months that the prosecutors asked for. Yeah. Now, so we'll lead into our next subject, you guys, and I really want to talk about Fox News and what is going on with Fox over there. This Delta variant is doing exactly what Dr. Fauci said that it would, which is turning people on their asses with COVID. I believe they said over 90% of the people who are passing away from COVID right now are unvaccinated people, or they've only had one portion of the one shot. So Fox News has took heed of this, and they spent months. Fox News has spent months since COVID was a thing, and then so forth. First it wasn't real, then next it is real, but Donald Trump is going to fix it all. Okay, well, Donald Trump came up with the vaccine, but you don't have to take the vaccine, though. You don't have to take the vaccine because we don't really know where it comes from. This is the Biden administration. And then they went in on vaccine passports. And they went in on vaccine passports for months until we found out some information the other day. But this is what Fox News has been doing over there regarding vaccine passports for the past few months.
The left is going to begin the push for vaccine mandates and vaccine passports.
Vaccine passports, oh yay.
Plans for a vaccine passport.
This vaccine passport.
The vaccine passport.
There's going to be growing pressure across all of corporate America to force proof of vaccination status for movement, for everything. Just like no mask, no entry, no vaccination, no entry.
Vaccinated only sections, so vaccination segregation.
The very same people, literally the very same, who just the other day told us that segregation was immoral, are now enforcing segregation.
At Turning Point USA, we are going to give it everything we have to make sure that students are not going to have to live in a medical apartheid because they don't want to get the vaccine.
Medical Jim Crow has come to America. If we still had water fountains, the unvaccinated would have separate ones.
Give in to the bullies on this vaccine passport issue, the ongoing mask mandates, school restrictions, and they'll never stop chipping away at your liberty and your privacy.
And by the way, just so you know, as proof, if you want to get a job, you'll need your vaccine papers.
You heard what he said. If you want to get a job, you got to get your vaccine papers. Where apparently at Fox News, if you want to walk around and move around freely about the country, you will have to get Fox's Clear Pass.
Yeah, meanwhile, Tucker Carlson and all of them are vaccinated.
Exactly. Fox News, Fox
Robert
employee
Murdoch was
leaked.
one of the first ones to get vaccinated.
Correct. An email was leaked from Fox Human Resources Department, and this email talks about a Fox Clear Pass. This was developed in June, and it's developed a secure, voluntary way for employees to self-attest their vaccination status. The system allows for employees to self-report to Fox the dates their shots were administered and which vaccines were used. Basically, a fucking vaccine passport. So Fox News gives this rhetoric to their audience, and they have what's called the Fox Clear Pass, which should be called a vaccine passport. I would love to know about the hypocrisy, how you guys feel about the hypocrisy of Fox News, them basically killing off their supporters by doing this bullshit and this malarkey regarding the vaccine.
But now they're part of it. They want the vaccine. People go get the vaccine. Sean Hannity is out there. We're for it.
I'm so tired. And listen, I'm gonna be real with you. I did not spend my 4 years in college in Savannah State University in the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences, getting a degree in television production, news media, and newspaper journalism, to constantly hear Fox News being referred to as a reputable news station. That is an entertainment company. It may as well be BET, MTV, Showtime. I refuse. We never co-signed to that nonsense in any reputable news station. If you walk into any one of them, will never refer to Fox News as a news outlet for actual accurate media. Laura Ingraham, didn't you make the claim that there's no clinical reason to get vaccinated? No. Wasn't it her? Yes. And let's just be very clear. Notice the language. Apartheid, segregation.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. Mm-hmm.
The fact that you have to refer to everything that white people did to black folks just to try to push your point home that what's being done is vaccination segregation when you're all vaccinated. And you have vaccine passports at your job to keep coming in there. I really wish people recognized the reality of media when it comes to these type of networks, because they're not news media. They get on television and spew propaganda that barely passes the limit, gets under the bar for the FCC to not shut them down completely. Which is why they have to course correct so much, because they have to keep going back, because they're going to get fined. They're going to get shut down if they don't double back on all of the lies that they spew on this network. And I live in South Carolina, where every white person television, when they install it, has a straight line to Fox News. Every single one. So I hear it all the time. Matter of fact, before the school year even ended here, based on Tucker Carlson saying that you don't need to wear a mask out in public, you should tell those people that you need to take it off. The next night, I got a phone call from my son's school saying that there's going to be a form that parents can fill out so their kids don't have to wear a mask anymore. Before the school year even ended. Now, my son was virtual, but the point is, that's how powerful that network is. Tucker Carlson made that claim on a Friday. Monday, parents were not letting their kids wear masks anymore and had those forms filled out. This network is dangerous. It is problematic. It spews nothing but propaganda that serves to fit whatever Republican conservative narrative that is the trending topic on their side of Twitter. And we have got to stop. I just wish people would stop falling for it, because all Fox News does is reinforce the same stupid. They reinforce the lower level intelligence of the country and make them feel smart because, hey, a guy in a suit is on television saying what I'm thinking in my head. I must be right. They stroke the ego of lower class America, because there is no middle class, really. Well, all of us are pretty much around lower class, lower middle class, and they get away with it every week.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's blatant hypocrisy.
The point that she really made and hit home was the fact that Yeah, the base that they're talking to, they're using rhetoric like apartheid, segregation. You know, we're doing this. They're gonna separate all the vaccinated people. They get to do all the good stuff, but us unvaccinated people don't. We're bad. Number one, you can't go into college without a meningitis shot. You get knocked up in the military by God knows what. You can't do it. There's so many things that you are vaccinated against anyway that you can and cannot do unless you're vaccinated before COVID even came out. You know what I'm saying? And they're fear mongering. And what is really actually dangerous, which I'm gonna just right on the coattails of Glam here, is we all know that it's evangelicals and religious fanatics that watch Fox News, and I see it in Texas here all the time. It's the evangelicals and the fanatics. This is the end times. This is religious things happening. You know, this is the 666. This is the mark of the beast. This is magnetic. This is, which I thought it was magnetic at first, but it was sticky. I was sweaty. I showed the girls that one time. I was like, ladies, what's going on? But come to find out, I was just sweaty. But anyway, but at that same time, though, they are purposely using this type of rhetoric because back in the past, like Glam said, apartheid, segregation, that I've heard other people say things that made it equivalent to Jewish people wearing their patches and stuff like that. What they are doing is pandering to these religious fanatics, like, oh, that happened to those people, and look what happened to those people. That's going to happen to us, and they want to be oppressed so bad. They want it because it gives them the attention, and it also gives them like this, just like, I'm right about religion, I'm right about this, I'm right about that, and I just sit here in Texas.
Give them the proverbial hill to die on.
Yes, I just sit here in Texas, just like, get your freaking vaccine, like, just get the shot.
And we see now with more states and cities going back to making mask a requirement, suggesting and recommending it. I personally, as a parent, have no faith in this coming school year in South Carolina. Now 33 districts here have opted to do virtual, but I have no faith in any of these states that want to go back to full open, that they're going to make it to December. They're not.
Right. Jen, do you have anything you wanted to add, or did they hit everything? Because I have nothing. They hit everything for me.
I was just getting ready to say, having been in the medical field for 20 years and watching this stuff unfold, I'm pissed off, livid, like they can just burn in the pits of hell as far as I'm concerned.
And that's the thing. I have a neighbor that's also been a nurse for 20 years, and she's going to home care now because of this very thing. She has been berated, abused, and mistreated because of simply advising people to do what won't kill them. And or the other side, which I'm sure, Jen, you've seen a lot on TikTok, people ending up in the hospital because they didn't get vaccinated. Oh, it's real. Oh my God, it's real, guys. Take it seriously. These people have been telling you this entire time.
Correct.
My mom and my stepdad won't get vaccinated. My 18-year-old son won't get vaccinated, and it's all because of this shit that has been spread around. And I'm just, they can burn in the pits of hell.
And it's spread around by people who have been vaccinated. That's the bad part about it.
Yeah, that's the bad part.
Because Fox News did it, but we also have to recognize that there are lots of people in other marginalized communities that feel the same way. And they agree with a lot of the rhetoric from Fox News when it comes to this whole vaccine. Black community, we always have been very paranoid and skeptical when it comes to vaccinations. Yes. I'm sure Aunt Kaylee, as an Indigenous person, why would you trust anything white people do or say medically when they handed y'all smallpox on a silver platter in the guise of helping? Like, there are so many things. So we have other hurdles to get past, as opposed to just like, as Kelly saying, these evangelicals who just want to be oppressed. We've been oppressed. We've been subjugated. And we have a real fear towards getting these vaccinations, which is valid until we recognize that just like these white folks, we're allowing ourselves to be in a dangerous situation where we could end up getting sick and dying. And now you didn't trust the vaccine. Now you're going to trust the doctor in the hospital? Because do you think that doctor's going to put you on an intubation tube as opposed to that white man that was watching Fox News?
Yeah.
That's a real battle that you have to pick your battles. Do you want to risk it at Walgreens or risk it in the ER?
It's been months now. You've had an opportunity to see that people aren't just dropping dead from this vaccine like
Right.
you all think, like they say they are. So this should be you've had time. How long has the vaccine been out? I mean, you've had time to see what's going on with this vaccine enough for you to know enough for you to say I need to go ahead and get vaccinated. If you want to travel abroad,
Vaccine has been
you
out
have to
for
get
years.
vaccinated. If you want to travel abroad, you have to get vaccinated. A lot of us black people now, baby, we traveling, we hitting them passports and we going. So if you can get vaccinated to go and take a trip to Dubai, you can take your ass down there and get the COVID vaccine. This doesn't make any. It makes no sense to me that we want to use. Oh well, I'm so mistrustful of the medical community,
Right.
and, you know that and that. Yeah, but your ass ain't mistrustful when you want to go gallivanting off to Dubai. You want to go and do this and that. You want to go travel abroad. You could go and get that COVID vaccine. It's been more than enough time for you to weigh your options. God also gave your ass common sense. And you should have common sense enough for you to know I need to get vaccinated to try to do something to save my life. And that
or the lives of your children, because again, we have to remember that there are 12 and under that cannot get vaccinated.
Exactly.
These children, I believe I saw someone saying there are 24% of these COVID cases are children under the age of 12 who cannot get vaccinated.
Right.
We as parents who are opting to not get vaccinated, one, are putting ourselves at risk, because when my son walks back into that school for the first time since this pandemic hit, which was second grade for him, he's going to come home and get me sick. That's a joke that all parents know. Your kids start school, you get sick. Now this time I'm going to drop dead.
Right.
Or worse, I put him in a predicament because I'm not vaccinated and I get him sick.
Correct. That's 100% the
God
truth.
help those who help themselves. You can't sit there and only be afraid of this one vaccine. But as you said, we're not afraid to do half these other things that require more from us. They're getting this vaccine out for free.
Exactly.
You got to pay for your passport to go to Dubai. You got to pay for these other inoculations if you didn't get them when you were supposed to.
Exactly. No, they're dying from COVID. So I'm gonna open this up now to take questions, y'all. We're running out of time here. It's been 56 minutes. But if anybody has any questions, please put it in the comments. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the last subject that I really want to talk about, that I know my players wanted to hear about. I really wanted to do that Texas thing, but I don't have the time to stay late today. Okay. So I gotta pick which one I want to do. Which one y'all rather hear? Y'all rather hear Thomas Barack, or would you rather hear about the Texas legislation? Y'all, somebody put it in the comments. Which one would y'all rather hear? Because I only got time for one. So we got the Texas legislation where they're banning the teaching of women's suffrage, Martin Luther King Jr., the Texas public school requirements, and then we have intricate details on Thomas Barack. Okay, I'll just let y'all know that Thomas Barack has been released from prison. They're saying Texas, so we'll talk about that. But Thomas Barack has been released from prison. That's the guy that was Frumpy Dump's campaign chair. He's actually been released on a $250 million bond. Excuse me, wait. Hold on. Yes, 250. I got to tell y'all this. Hold up. A federal judge in Los Angeles on Friday ordered the release on a $250 million secure bond. $250 million. And it needs to be secured by $5 million cash, another $21.23 million in securities, and his damn home. Y'all, I can't. Money? I swear, money. Let's get into I just want to let y'all know that, because I'm not going to make a TikTok about it. So we have the Texas Senate. They're going ahead, even though the Texas Democrats are out. They're out in Washington. They flew the coop. They're out getting into good trouble. The Texas Senate is still moving forward with their legislation. They're going to have it already passed. So when the Texas Democrats come back, you can guarantee that Greg Abbott is going to call another special session. So this legislation that they passed the other day has got people up in arms. And this legislation, because a lot of people don't understand it. Okay, the Texas Senate has passed Senate Bill 3 in a continued effort to get rid of the critical race theory on racial inequality in K through 12 schools. It removes several Texas code lesson requirements. Now, these are lesson requirements that they have to teach in Texas. They're removing the requirement to do this, like using the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King, teaching about women's suffrage, teaching the history of white supremacy, the KKK, and how it is morally wrong. They are removing that. And teachers are saying that this move signals a growing effort to remove specific lessons from the classroom, specifically adding in out that you can't teach that white supremacy is morally wrong. It's deeply concerning. They're also saying that they can't teach about the institution of slavery, Ku Klux Klan, none of that. So I found this clip from this is a podcast that I watch. His name is Charles Blow, and he was sitting down with Roy Reynolds, and Roy Reynolds kind of broke this down a little bit, and I would like for you guys to check it out. Ooh, we gotta hurry up. Give me just 1 minute. Where is it? There it is.
Well, I just want to make sure I understand something. They're not saying you are forbidden from discussing these topics. They're saying that the state no longer requires that these subjects be taught. Am I right about that?
No. They will not be able to talk about these subjects any longer. That they're not supposed to delve into them. That is something that they're supposed to steer away from based upon this language. So all of the education groups, the teachers, they were there to testify that this bill it really takes away teachers' ability to teach history. They want you to etch a sketch it, act like it didn't exist. So that is, they want to they're afraid that you're going to indoctrinate these young students with white guilt, and that's what they're trying to avoid, right? They think that these students don't have enough intellectual capacity to learn history and still not be ashamed that they're being white, and that's what they're trying to prevent. So it is, Charles, it is utterly irresponsible. It is ridiculous. There's nothing that makes sense about this, okay?
And Callie, I think that kind of goes into what the TikTok that I played, the teaching about that. It's a requirement for them to teach about the history of Texas, but they can't teach about it if they can't teach about the indigenous history. So I would love to know what you think about this move by the Texas Senate.
Well, speaking of indigenous people, we do not forget the past. We got to bring it up because this has always been an issue in Texas since the Board of Education, Brown versus the Board of Education. Liberal groups and conservative groups have been at each other's wits' end when it comes to educating students in Texas. Unfortunately, conservatives have the upper hand in this state. There has always been a fight between that because, number one, Texas influences and publishes a lot of curriculum that goes outside of Texas. But number two, the reason why the conservatives always want to take out marginalized groups is because, unfortunately, our histories are violent because of them. You know what I'm saying? And they don't want violence or anything taught because it will undermine the image of America, the patriotic of America. And we saw that with the Trump administration last year, with patriotic education. We saw this not too long ago in the Reagan administration. We see this all the time. This is nothing new, but the sheer fact that social media is playing a big part in it and getting the news out there more so than the news networks is what's really, I think, starting to put into people's heads, seeing it for themselves. You cannot teach Texas history without Black history. You cannot teach Texas history without Native American history. Half of the dang state is named after Native American tribes, for crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? The city I live in is named after a Native American tribe. There is no possible way to exclude these things. Women's suffrage, Martin Luther King. But this has always been an issue since the early 50s, where conservatives have had a stronghold on what gets taught. But when it comes to the teachers, now mind y'all, this is where you're going to see a lot of teachers get pretty pissed off about,
is our standardized test. Texas relies heavily on standardized testing. So even though it's not a requirement, guys, but you can still teach it, but it's still not a requirement because we're just doing standard things here. Teachers will not have the time to go into anything extra because they are trying to prepare their students for what's actually on the Texas state standardized testing, which is indoctrination. So if they're only going to teach the patriotic history of America, that's the only thing that they can essentially teach is patriotic America, because that's what's going to be on the test and that's what's going to let the student pass to the next grade. So that's how that's how it's done here.
They can pass all the laws that they want to, but social media is going to teach them.
That's true, but I wanted to read this because when I found out you were talking about this, I just want to read this really quickly. The state must declare the child to be the most precious treasure of the people. As long as the government is perceived as working for the benefit of children, the people will happily endure almost any curtailment of liberty and almost any deprivation. That is a quote from Adolf Hitler. What we are seeing in Texas is exactly that. Another quote from him is that he alone who owns the youth gains the future. We noticed that during Trump's administration, that one woman who made that same quote. Point is, these children are being indoctrinated. The standard is only straight white men. That's why black men are being excluded, like Martin Luther King. That's why white women's suffrage is being excluded. That's why indigenous people's suffrage is being excluded, because the standard is white, straight male in America. And what's going to happen, because I live in South Carolina, and trust me, it is no better over here. We made Juneteenth a federal holiday from Texas's inability to tell the slaves there that they were actually free. And now you don't want them to know about it to figure out why we're celebrating a federally mandated holiday while you're setting standards in curriculum. And as a person that has been an educator, this type of communism that we are seeing happen, that is simply being ignored because it fits into the narrative that white men are the standard and white men found everything, created everything, and nothing good happened unless a white man did it, is exactly what they are screaming about Antifa for allegedly trying to do to them. But they're not going to complain because they're going to sit there and get their ego stroked and their balls sucked on by the rest of the Texas government that will let them get away with teaching children not to feel bad about the Ku Klux Klan, saying it's not morally apprehensible to kill people just because, we had to free them. Because mind you, the Ku Klux Klan did not exist until after slavery. That women's suffrage, because God forbid you recognize that white women had to fight for their right to do what white men are doing every damn day in that state. Or, please, mind you, Texas is a part of Mexico, but we're just going to skip over the part where the indigenous people that were sitting there already got their land stolen from them. Then we just shipped in these black folks that, we factually, not amorally brought them here to work on the westward expansion at the expense of the indigenous population that was already there, because it'll hurt white kids' feelings. At the same time,
about the truth about this,
and tell these white children and every other race of child to get over it, because words don't hurt your feelings.
Look, who's that? Look, these people who's watching.
Done.
If you are not following Glam Melanin, I can guarantee you your ass is now. After that,
I'll get banned if I say it on TikTok, but I promise you, I swear, I have never. My mother has been a teacher for 35, almost 40 years now. I have an aunt that was a teacher for 40 years. My uncle was a teacher for 40 years. I've taught for 8 years before I left education. I am tired. We have already been watered down and whitewashed. We have, even in an area where I live that's culturally and historically very Gullah Geechee culture, very historically black, we have been extremely whitewashed and extremely watered down in what we can and cannot say, can and cannot teach. And for the state of Texas, in this disabled psychopath to get in his wheelchair, roll his ass into a meeting and say that you can't teach people about Martin Luther King because it's going to make white kids feel away. These kids do horrible things to each other in classes. every damn day at the expense of each other's feelings. I guarantee you, them ignoring me for 30 minutes while I talk about the Ku Klux Klan burning down a bunch of cities, killing black people for no good reason, is going to go in one ear and out the other. It has all these other decades, and we've been teaching about it. Nobody learned their lesson yet.
That they've always been saying that. I have heard that argument where they say, "What we're gonna do the white guilt thing. We're gonna make white kids feel bad." We've seen that video on TikTok. We've seen plenty of videos. We've seen plenty of politicians that say we're gonna make the white kids feel bad if we teach this, that, and the fourth. Dude, do you know how many times I got told I was gonna get scalped? Do you know how many times black people got told that they were going to get
lynched, burned? They're gonna come to their house and put crosses on their front lawn.
You know,
but God forbid we
honest, you know, like
step on the toes of white children while they're barely paying attention in class anyway, if they make it to class, because again, while doing all this, we simultaneously want them to go back to school full time if they don't drop dead. Because realistically, you're setting these kids into slaughter. It's like, you know, we didn't have school shootings for enough years because they were home, so let's just ramp them back in during a whole other strain of a virus that half of the population of schools can't get vaccinated for. And then when they get in there, let's teach them that the only things that they need to know is that white men found America, not colonized, conquered the horrible savages, turned the black people into human beings, and taught white women how to stay in their place.
Y'all were workers according to McGraw-Hill. That's
exactly
right.
We were happy slaves according to McGraw-Hill. I burned that. I swear I got fired behind that book, but I'm not going to go there. This is not.
That's why I said, guys. This is going. They can pass all the laws they want. This is where they're going. The kids are going to learn.
But we have to remember that it's not every child that has access to internet and access to all the social media and education outside of that building. Sometimes the kids in these schools, a school building is the only time they're even on a computer. We love to say we're in a technological age, but the reality is, again, most of us are lower class, lower middle class. A lot of these families are two-parent working households that have multiple jobs, and they do not have access like we think they do. If they don't get it from me in a classroom as an educator, they won't get it. And the problem is these white men know it. And that's why they're working so hard to take these kids' minds, indoctrinate them, because they know that for most of these children, that schoolhouse is their only access to outside influences besides their parents watching Fox News on heavy rotation.
Small town, small minds.
Thank you.
Small town, small minds is how they keep them.
I agree, you all. I don't see any questions in the chat. That right there. Let's all snap it up for Glam Melanin with that. Snap it up. That was awesome, Glam.
Complete.
I get mad, y'all. I get mad, y'all.
Yeah, she was a little 38 hot in that moment. I
get mad, y'all. I just.
That's why I love you girls. That's why I love you guys so much.
Well, you know what, you guys, we're running down to the end of the show. It's been wonderful having everybody here with us. Make sure you go follow Gen Extra on TikTok and Instagram. Make sure you go follow Callie on TikTok and Instagram. Same thing with Glam Melanin. Yes, darling.
If you don't mind, I want to put a shout out. Anybody who's watching this, could you please email TikTok, tell them to get Glam Melanin off of her ban.
Oh yeah, I'm still banned on my other account.
Yes, if anybody's
I get banned for things like this, so I sometimes forget when I get it out of my system that I got in trouble somewhere else.
Yes, make sure you guys. Which account is it? Your backup or your main?
I think it's my backup now. Did I get banned again on my main? Because I've been here this whole time. Did I get banned?
You said before your main was Jet.
Oh, I was banned until today.
You're okay.
My backup, I'm still banned.
Okay.
But
make sure you guys send out emails for Glam Melanin to try to get her off of her ban. I mean, they just continue with this crap. You guys just gonna have to stick with us. Make sure you follow us, follow backups if you can. If we have backups, follow them so that way you can keep in contact if anything was to happen with our accounts, because TikTok is losing their damn mind. I couldn't believe Snowflake Queen got banned.
Yeah,
I was like, oh,
yeah.
The blonde, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. You know, and then Jolly Ginger, he had got banned too, but he got his account back. Okay, anyway, yeah. So, you guys, this is my opportunity in the show where I come and beg. You guys know I like to tip my guests for coming on and spending time with me. So if you guys would like to help me give them a really good tip, or just help me tip them at all, because I'm broke and I ain't got no money, but I need to tip my guests, Make sure you guys cash out me at Tiffany C. Jones 85, or you can Venmo me at Doubledeemuva 85 if you have a few bucks and you want to spare for spending this time with us. We really appreciate it, so that I can give them a tip for spending this hour and 15 minutes with me. I don't tell anybody about the tips because if I don't have any money to tips, that means I'm not obligated. So make sure. So make sure y'all help. Make sure you guys help me out and tip. My PayPal, honey, is my email address, which is, I'll put it here in the chat real quick. Let me hurry up because I got to get out of here. My kids are going to going to my sister's. I'm so damn excited because I haven't been without kids in I don't know how long, y'all. So I'm telling you, I'm so freaking excited. Oh Lord, baby. You know what? I'm so excited that they going to be with my sister this weekend. We're gonna get to sleep in tomorrow. I just put it in the chat. That's my PayPal, honey. But anyway, make sure you guys send me a tip so I can tip them, you guys. And thank y'all so much for joining us. I don't know who I'm having on next week. So if you guys have any suggestions on who you would like to see come on the show, please send me an inbox or whatever and let me know. There's so much going on TikTok. It's really hard to kind of get, kind of get in touch with people now.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, it's
they'll
getting
ban you from messaging.
Yeah, it's getting thick on TikTok. I was supposed to have Amazing Dion, but she's been sick, so I haven't been able to get her. But you guys, thank y'all so much for joining. I really appreciate it. It's been a wonderful conversation, y'all. I hope y'all had fun, and I hope that y'all will come back again and spend some time with me because I really, really enjoyed it.
You know me. I got plenty of this. I can do this all day.
I really appreciate you guys coming on.
I just want to come in and sit and watch because y'all know I love watching you girls just go off.
Well, just come on. Just come on. Come and watch at any time. Well, thank y'all so much for coming on. Remember to go follow Gen Extra and Callie and Glam Melanin on TikTok and Instagram. And y'all have a good evening, and I'll see y'all next Friday. Take care.
Thank you.